Friends, welcome to Biology-Made-Easy. Today in this video we'll discuss the responses to abiotic factors. How the plants, animals, they're responding to abiotic factors. Because in the previous videos we have discussed the different abiotic factors like temperature, water, light, soil, topography. They influence the biomes. So what is their effect on the living organisms? Now first thing is why the different types of organisms live in different stressful conditions. When the climatic condition changes, when the temperature, light, water, soil, everything changes, why should the organism bother? The thing is, our body consists of certain things. There are biochemical reactions, physiological reactions, there is enzymatic reactions, and they require a particular level of pH, temperature, and these things they require so that they can carry out all the metabolic reactions. But when the surroundings change, the temperature changes, the light changes, then it becomes very difficult for the survival of the organisms. But during these millions of years of existence, some organisms, they have tried for internal adjustment within them so that their temperature, their osmotic concentration of the cells is maintained. So as a result of which they are completely fit to survive in the stressful conditions. So these things which maintain the constancy, that is usually the optimal temperature, and another is the osmotic concentration of body fluids. If these two things are maintained, then the animal can survive in a better way. So when these two things, the optimal temperature of the cell is maintained and osmotic concentration is maintained, the cell will function normally. This is known as homeostasis. That means with the change in the ambient conditions, with the change in light, temperature and water conditions, the organism will adjust itself internally, not externally. Internally it will adjust itself to the surrounding condition. That is known as homeostasis, and this is possible due to these two conditions. So these two are very important things. Now let us give one example. Suppose a human being can work efficiently at a 25 degrees centigrade. But sometimes he will be at home, sometimes he will be in office, sometimes he has to travel from home to office and back. Then how he will work efficiently at 25 degrees centigrade? You see, in home he can use air condition, in office he can use air condition, and while traveling to office and back, again in the car also he can use AC. But here this is not internal adjustment, this is completely mechanical. But how internally the organisms adjust themselves? Now here two things again come. One is regulate, the other is conform. So first let us discuss regulate. Regulate. Now what is this regulate? That means when one organism is subjected to the external stressful conditions, the body, the internal conditions of the body, that means the optimal temperature and the osmotic concentration of the will adjust itself so the organism can survive, which is known as homeostasis. And under this category, almost all birds and mammals are coming. All birds and mammals. That means with the changing conditions, there is internal adjustment. So if we'll plot one graph, this is external level changes and this is internal level changes. That means with change in external level, they again remain constant. They constant. These are known as regulators. Because whatever the external condition may be there, but internally they fit because they will adjust themselves to their homeostasis. Now, how they accomplish it? Suppose you take the case of human being. The human being temperature is 37 degrees centigrade. But during summer, the temperature rises up to 48, 50 degrees centigrade. So how the human being will survive? So during that time, if we use AC, that is mechanical, but how internally will adjust it? So when there will be temperature, external temperature will rise, our body will sweat, and that sweat is evaporated. And you know, evaporation gives a cooling effect. So our body will be cool. Now you come to winter. In winter also body temperature is 37 degrees centigrade, but the outside temperature may be 10, 15 degrees centigrade. So during how we'll adjust? At that time we'll just shiver. Our body will shiver. And this shivering is one exercise. And during this shivering, we'll gain some amount of heat. So in this way, both in summer and in winter, the human being can adjust itself so that in both conditions, the human being can survive. That is homeostasis. And most of the animals, they carry out these processes so that they maintain their homeostasis and they are known as regulators. But all organisms are not regulators. The second is conformers. Or you can tell, second one is conform. And under this conform, usually 99% of animals and all plants. That means 99% of animals and all plants, they cannot regulate their internal body temperature and osmotic concentration. Simply they are known as conformers. That means with change in the temperature, light condition, other conditions of the ambient environment, their internal condition changes. That is why they are known as conformers. Suppose we'll take one aquatic animal. In aquatic animal, it may survive. What will be the internal condition? That depends on the external condition. You know, suppose there are freshwater fishes and there are marine fishes, and the salinity of the freshwater is only 5%, while the seawater it is 30 to 35%. If you take one freshwater fish and put it in a saline condition, it cannot survive because the concentration is high. It cannot adjust itself. Similarly, if you take one marine fish and put it in inland water, ponds or lakes, it will not survive. Because they are conformers, their internal condition cannot be adjusted. So, in that case, the graph will be like this. The graph will be like this. They are known as conformers. Conformers. Now here one question comes. Why these conformers means the 99% animals and all plants, so why they cannot regulate? Now the answer is, the maintaining this optimal temperature and osmotic concentration is a thermoregulation process. And to maintain it, it requires it has to generate a lot of heat. And how it will generate a lot of heat? It has to carry out a lot of metabolic reactions. And it is very difficult on the part of most of the animals and plants because it's a thermoregulation process. While the mammals and birds can do it. Again, this thermoregulation again depends upon the size of the body and it depends upon the surface volume ratio. Suppose if I will give one example, suppose one small organism, or you can take a small cell whose dimension is only 1 centimeter. And there is another organism whose dimension is 2 centimeter and there is another dimension is 3 centimeter. Now since 1 centimeter, what is the surface to volume ratio? One side is 1 square. So 6 sides. So surface will be 6 and volume will be 1 to the power 3, that is 1. So here the surface volume ratio is 60:1. Where it is 2, one side is 4 and 6 side means it will be 24. It will be 24 and volume 2 to the power cube 8. So 24 8. That means it is coming to 3:1. Here it is 3. So each side is 9. 6 sides are there. So 54. And what is the volume? 3 to the power 3. So 27. So it is coming 2:1. That means you see, as the size is increasing, the surface volume ratio is decreasing. And what will happen? With respect, you see, the volume is same in each case. But in bigger animals, the surface is less, while in small animals, the surface is more. That means this is the reason why the small animals cannot survive in polar areas. Because in the polar areas, so with respect to volume, the surface is more. So that means in that case, they will lose more heat. Then how they will survive? That is why in polar areas, big animals survive. That is known as Bergman's rule. That is Bergman's rule. That is, they can bigger animals survive because bigger animals have less surface to volume ratio. So these are the conditions. This is the reason why the conforms most of the plants and animals cannot survive, because the thermoregulation process that can be carried out. But there are very few organisms which try to maintain regulation, but they cannot. So they are known as partial regulators. They will be like this. These are partial regulators. So this graph is also very important from examination point of view. Now besides these regulators and conformers, sometimes we will find there are some organisms which try to be regulators or conformers, but they do not come under this category, because in some area you will find there is only seasonal fluctuation. That means for a limited period, for 2 to 3 months only, there is either high summer or the very cold winter. So in that case, they undergo alternative methods. So what are these alternative methods? One of the alternative method is migration. So in case of migration, you might have observed that when the summer temperatures rises up to 48-50 degrees centigrade and it becomes very stressful to survive, people who live in Delhi, this is migration. So people living in Delhi, either they go to Simla or Mussoorie or any hilltop areas, because in Delhi the temperature is very high, it becomes difficult to survive. This is known as migration. Similarly, if you mark during winter, the birds from Siberia, they fly long distances from Siberia to the national park in Rajasthan and to Chilika Lake in Odisha. That is why during winter season you will find the number of birds in the Chilika Lake and in the Rajasthan National Park, the number is more, because in Siberia during winter the temperature is very low. Again, when the temperature will increase, again they will fly back to return. This is known as migration. But again, all organisms cannot migrate. Like the human being or these birds, all organisms cannot migrate. So there is again another method, that is suspend. Now in suspend, there are some bacteria and fungi. They give rise to thick-walled spores, like hypnospores. So these thick water spores, hypnospores, they survive in unfavorable conditions, in stressful condition, and when the normal condition will come, they will survive. You take the case of higher plants. The plants usually produce seeds, and these seeds are dormant unless they are put in water. So they will survive the stressful condition, and again when favorable condition will come, if you put them in water, they will germinate. So in this way they overcome the stressful conditions. Then another way, that is hibernation. Hibernation is known as winter sleep. And you can take the example of bear. So usually the bear cannot move to a long distance, so it has to escape the time. It will not move to a distant place, it will escape the time. Simply it will undergo winter sleep. That means it will sleep for a few months till winter is over without any activity, foraging activity or anything. That is known as hibernation. Then another is aestivation. Aestivation is known as summer sleep. So usually this is for some snails. Some snails, usually when the temperature rises, they become dormant. That is known as aestivation, or that is summer sleep. And there is another one, the fifth one, is diapause. And in case of diapause, the example is usually phytoplanktons. So again, when the conditions become stressful, not favorable for the growth, usually the phytoplanktons which live in the upper layers of the water, they are in suspended condition for some weeks or months till the favorable condition comes. So you see how these organisms are responding to the abiotic factors. Either the mammals and birds, they are internally they can regulate it, they are known as regulators, while 99% of the animals and all the plants, they cannot regulate, they are known as conformers, while some organisms, they try to be regulate but cannot do, so ultimately they are known as, they conform, so they are known as partial regulators. But all organisms cannot come under either regulators or conformers. When there is some seasonal variations for limited period, then there are alternative methods. One may be migration. I have given the example of a human being and the Siberian birds. And the other is suspend, where bacteria, plants, the hibernation, that is winter sleep, aestivation, summer sleep, and diapause for phytoplanktons when they are in the suspended animation. So these are the different responses of organisms to abiotic factors. Then let us discuss questions. One question you can write: why small organisms can't survive in polar areas? A choice, they have a more surface to volume ratio. B choice, they have less surface to volume ratio. C choice, bigger animals eat them. And D choice, none of the above. Why small organisms cannot survive in polar areas? Whether their surface volume ratio is more or less, or in fear of that bigger animals will eat them. The second question: snails undergo A choice winter sleep, B choice summer sleep, C choice, diapause, D choice, all of the above. So all these things we have discussed during our video. You must have enjoyed it and you must have perfectly understood. Thank you very much for watching it. Have a good day.